just as a word, as we're waiting for the House members to come in so that we can start, when they come in, you might want to render applause. And we can thank you for coming now. Good afternoon. The Joint Subcommittee of Government Operations, Commerce, Labor, Transportation, and Agriculture is now called to order for October the 14th, 2025. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Senators Crow, Hatcher. Here. Senator Hatcher is present. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Senator Oliver is present. Senator Steele. Present. Senator Steele is present. Chairman Bowling.
Present.
Chairman Bowling is present. Representatives Fritz. Here. Fritz is present. Hardaway. Here. Hardaway is present. Renault. Here. Renault is present. Sherrill. Here. Sherrill is present. Towns. Vice Chair Reedy. Madam Chairman, you have a quorum in both chambers.
Thank you, sir. Recognizing a quorum, I will ask Representative Monty Fritz if we would all stand and he could lead us in a pledge and a prayer.
Madam Chair, we'll pray first if you don't mind. Y'all bow with me. Heavenly Father, we come before you, dear, today, asking your blessing on this meeting and on our business that we do. Pray, God, that you give us discernment and wisdom. We thank you, God, for your grace and mercy. We thank you most of all, your Son, Jesus, who died for us on that cross. Rose again 3 days later. For it's in his name we pray.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Easy now. Easy.
Before we start, are there any personal orders from any of the members? Seeing none, we will go to the item 1, which is the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission. So this first agency, if you all would please come forward, and you, the representatives and comptroller audit team, come forward as well. And then when you're seated, I'll ask the agency representatives to introduce themselves. That wasn't me. I'm glad it's you.
Good afternoon, Reed Witcher. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the Regulatory Boards Division at Commerce and Insurance.
Did you want to? Candace Dawkins, I'm the Legislative Director for the Department of Commerce.
Denise Lawrence, I'm the Executive Director for the Motor Vehicle Commission.
Thank you very much. And the comptroller team, if you will please introduce yourselves.
I'm Jessica White, Legislative Auditor with the Comptroller's Office.
And I'm Erica Durham, a Legislative Senior Auditor with the Comptroller's Office.
Thank you all. And I would ask that the audit team present each finding individually, and the agency will then have an opportunity to respond, and members will have a chance to ask questions. So the comptroller team, would you please present the findings?
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jessica White, and with me today is my colleague Erica Durham. We're Legislative Auditors in the Comptroller's Office. With the Chair's permission, we would like to present the results of the 2025 performance audit of the Tennessee Motor. The mission of the Motor Vehicle Commission is to protect the public health, safety, and welfare through the regulation of motor vehicle manufacturers, distributors, dealers, salesmen, and their representatives. With this mission in mind, we audited the Commission's compliance with statutory requirements for composition, meeting frequency, quorum, and attendance, and the Open Meetings Act, and whether the Commission had established and followed conflict of interest policies. We also audited the Commission's responsibilities to properly award, renew, and revoke licenses to manufacture, sell, and distribute motor vehicles, to review, investigate, and monitor complaints, and to be financially self-sufficient. We audited the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission for the period of January 1, 2020 through June 30, 2025. The Commission had one observation and no findings. As pertains to our observation, the Commission did not follow all attendance and composition requirements and did not always ensure members signed required conflict of interest statements. This concludes our presentation today. We would like to extend our thanks to the Joint Committee, Chairman John Roberts, and the staff at the Motor Vehicle Commission for their cooperation and assistance throughout the audit. We're happy to answer any questions the committee may have at this time.
The agency representatives, would you please respond to the finding, the observation?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Bowling. First, I want to recognize that the Commission's Chair, John Roberts, is with us today. We appreciate him being here. We concur with the one observation from the audit. Regarding board member attendance, the recommendations by the Comptroller's Office are the same as existing practices by the Executive Director. In the future, the Executive Director will retain documentation that the Governor's Office was notified of Commission vacancies. And the Commission has instituted new procedures to ensure that conflicts of interest statements are signed. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee relative to this finding? Representative Hardaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, ma'am. And maybe council, if there's a challenge to any ruling with the lack of the conflict of interest being on file, impact decisions that have already been rendered?
Are you asking our counsel or the board's counsel? We don't have our attorneys here to testify.
I thought you were an attorney.
No, I'm the department's Legislative Director.
Okay, well, anybody will do.
I think that if there were an issue with a vote, that's something that our attorneys review anyway. Specific to this observation, there were 5 conflict of interest forms that we had not retained in the process of collecting the documents out of the roughly 95 to 100 that we would have been expected to have on file over that time period. So a very limited number of instances, not something that would have influenced a vote.
You're recognized, Representative Hardaway.
That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your response. I think that in the notes that we received, all this is being taken care of and addressed, and the methodology in capturing these has also been updated, if you will. So thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the committee relative to this finding? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, and there are no further public comments or questions, do we have a motion for the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission? Senator,
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we extend the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission for 4 years.
the motion and a second? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote in the Senate. Madam Clerk, please take that vote.
Senator Crow. Okay. Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Senator Kyle. Senator Oliver. Senator Seal.
Aye.
Chairman Bowling.
Aye.
With 4 ayes, this bill does pass. Or oh, Chairman, you have 4 ayes. Sorry.
Thank you. In the House, we'll take a voice vote. All in favor of the recommendation, please vote aye. Signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. We now have a 4-year extension of the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission. Thank you all very much. Our second group is the Committee for Providing Competitive and Integrated Employment for Individuals with Severe Disabilities. Would that agency please come forward and its representatives? Please make sure your mic is on. Thank you. And now, if you'll please state your name and position for the record and begin your presentation.
My name is Robin Atwood. I'm the Executive Director of CMRA, Community Rehabilitation Agencies of Tennessee, which is the central nonprofit agency that was appointed years ago by the committee to administer the program.
I'm Bill Hubbard. I'm an attorney.
Thank you and welcome to you both. Are there any questions from the committee? Are you ready to make, excuse me, I preempted that. Do you have a presentation for the committee? Hardaway, Representative Hardaway, let's allow them to have the presentation first. I got ahead of myself. Thank you.
Thank you. So our committee was established by statute in 1991, so it's been around for a while. It is made up of 10 members, and 6 of those are department commissioners or their designees, and generally they're designees. That is on page 2. And we've also got 4 appointments by the governor. Our chair is Robert Rosenbaum. Dr. Rosenbaum is the former CEO of Goodwill Knoxville. And then we have 1 vacant position that is from a blind center. That happened back in February, and I believe the governor's office is working on making an appointment. The other 2 appointed by the governor are Dina Piazza. She's a private citizen with a child with a disability. And then a private citizen that represents the business community is Kanya Mull with United Healthcare. Our committee meets quarterly, and it did within the last 2 years meet 8 times. All times there was a quorum except for 1, and the members were present for that meeting did listen to reports that day. Our committee is very active when we meet, and we have a great, just broad representation of state departments. So I had to have that. And I'm just kind of skipping through the report. So as far as revenues and expenditures, we do not have any revenue. Expenditures are minimal, and that the only thing that is paid for are lunches at the quarterly meetings. And then mileage reimbursement for any non-government committee member who requests it. And CMRA, the Central Nonprofit Agency, makes those payments. We are required to follow the Sunshine Law. So we post those notices on our website. Also on our website are past annual reports, and we send those annual reports by statute. We send them to the governor and to the legislature, and also to commissioners and assistant commissioners of state departments. They aren't in the statute, but we send them anyway because we want everybody to be aware.
I apologize for the interruption.
That's all right. We don't have policies and procedures. This committee has never been attached to a state department. I think they tried that years ago, probably more than 20 years ago, and we couldn't seem to find a department that was willing to, be attached for whatever reason. So we don't really have policies or procedures. Tara Lawson, who works for me at CMRA, she is the staff liaison to the committee. She makes sure that notices get posted on our website. She also makes sure that we have a quorum for our meetings. And except for the one that we didn't have, I think we thought we were going to, and somebody didn't show up. Annual reports, I actually do those myself, and we try to include success stories of people who work on the contracts. And at one point, they were all state contracts. And now they're mostly, which hopefully you got in your materials, they're mostly contracts with JLL and on state sites. We do have some products as well. And you have a list of those. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to let our lawyer talk about the statute and the percentages and that kind of thing. So Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Robin. So the statute provides that 50% of the hours contributed to fulfilling the state contract must be provided by a person with a disability. All of the contracts that CMRA has with state agencies have to be approved by the Central Procurement Commission. And it has a committee that scrutinizes contracts and approves the contracts. So this, quite frankly, from my viewpoint, is a great program as far as providing employment opportunities for people with disabilities, and the program does not negatively affect the finances of the state.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I appreciate the work you do. I was a volunteer for years in one of the sheltered workshops, if you will, back when those were the way it was done. Are there any questions from the members? You are recognized.
Thank you, ma'am, and welcome. When you're, and you hit part of it, but when you're looking at the composition of the board, the private citizens, can you go back through that again?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes. So there are 6 department commissioners or their designees on the committee, and then 4 people who are public citizens who are appointed by the governor. One of those comes from a business. The other one comes from the blind services. And then there's also one from who's a parent, and then also one from like they used to call them work centers, but now they're like agencies that provide services to people with disabilities. So they're contracted with DDA or TennCare.
Representative Hardaway.
Thank you. And is the composition, the criteria set out in statute that you would have to have a parent, that you would have to have a business, a blind person, or how is that designated?
It is set out in statute.
Is that wide enough to catch all of the different categories of disabilities? Just seems kind of narrow, just having 4 spots.
And that's a good question. So we have expanded it over the years. The parent is relatively new to the committee. Just a couple of years ago, we added that. And this current parent, she's new, she's great. She actually represents, she has a child with autism. And generally, it's somebody who's had a child with an intellectual disability. So in some respects, you're probably right. That could be broadened to capture more people with disabilities or families or parents. But that is the way it's set up now.
All right, I appreciate that response, and I'm looking forward to working with Madam Chair on the cure, the legislative cure.
Very well. Thank you so much. Are there any further questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for the work you do. I appreciate it. Just 2 quick questions. First, the code doesn't outline a requirement for the Department of Veteran Services to have a role in the oversight. Do you have a robust interface with the Department of Veteran Services in Tennessee? And tell us a little bit about how that interface goes.
Right, and we do not have somebody on the committee, but that would be a good addition. I can tell you that some of our subcontractors absolutely employ people, veterans with disabilities, especially on services like lawn services, things sometimes that take a bit more understanding, if you will, of how to do those kind of jobs, and might require handling of, chemicals that some others don't necessarily need to handle. So yes, we do, or our subcontractors do.
Yes, ma'am. And just one further question, the $10,363,000, is that the total funding oversight that you would, that the commission would be looking at?
Most of that is passed through. Yes. So as the CNA, the Central Nonprofit Agency, we operate on 6% of that 10 million. And the rest of it is passed through. And as Mr. Hubbard explained, the state contracts go through the central procurement, the CPO, and the JLL contracts now, they're different. They don't have to go through the CPO, but we are still required to meet their requirements that the state requires of them, if that makes sense.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Seeing none, would you have a motion? Senator Hatcher, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we extend the committee from providing competitive integrated employment individuals with severe disabilities for 6 years.
Thank you. That is the correct motion. Do I have a second? Seconded. We will now have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we will proceed with the vote, and in the Senate, we will take a voice vote. Excuse me, a roll call vote.
Senator Crowe, Senator Hatcher,
Aye.
votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver, votes aye. Senator Seal, votes aye. Chairman Bowling.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 4 aye votes.
Thank you. And we will now have a voice vote for the House. All those in favor of a six-year extension, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and that passes through the House and the Senate. We appreciate your help today, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
The next board, as you're preparing to come up, is the agency for the Board of Examiners for Architects and Engineers. The agency representatives will come take their seat. Make sure your mic is on. And if you'll please state your name, position for the record, and begin your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Bowling. Reed Witcher, Assistant Commissioner for the Regulatory Boards Division at Commerce and Insurance. I'm joined by Candace Dawkins, our Legislative Director, and Glenn Kopchak, Executive Director for the Board of Architectural and Engineering Examiners. The board regulates engineers, engineer interns, architects, landscape architects, interior designers, and firms. The board has approximately 63,000 licensees. In the previous 2 fiscal years, the board received 168 complaints. The board has been self-sufficient each of the previous 2 fiscal years. The 12-member board has no vacancies. The board typically meets 6 times per year, and the board has had a quorum at each of their board meetings over the last 2 fiscal years. The board provides confidence across the state that those in the fields of engineering and architecture have received appropriate education and training, which is critical to our state's infrastructure. Without this board, Tennessee would have no direct oversight of these professionals. For these reasons, we recommend an extension for the board. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we extend the Board of Examiners and Architects and Engineers for 4 years.
Thank you, Senator Hatcher. That is a correct motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Senator Seal. All in favor? Excuse me. You did that. Do the roll call vote, please. Thank you.
Senator Crowe, Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal. Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. There are 4 aye votes.
Thank you. And now we'll take a voice vote in the House. All those in favor of a 4-year extension for the Board of Examiners of Architects and Engineers, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We now move forward with the next Board of Licensing, and we have a 4-year extension. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Chairman, I apologize. I failed to recognize that Jason Carter, board member for the Board of Architectural and Engineering Examiners, was here. We appreciate him joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. The next agency on our board is the State Board for Licensing Contractors. I think we already have our agency representatives with us. Please make sure your mic is on. And do state your name and position for the record. And then you may begin your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, Reed Witcher, Assistant Commissioner for Regulatory Boards of Commerce and Insurance, joined by Candace Dawkins, Legislative Director, and Chris Burkhart, the Executive Director of the Board of Licensing Contractors. The board regulates contractors, home improvement contractors, limited license plumbers and electricians, and pre-licensing education providers. They have approximately 35,000 licensees. In fiscal year 2025, the board received 829 complaints. 236 of those complaints resulted in enforcement actions with assessed civil penalties of $680,000. The board's financials are split between 2 funds. The board's limited licensed plumber and electrician fund is currently self-sufficient. The contractors fund has been in a deficit the last 2 fiscal years. However, they have a sufficient reserve to delay a fee increase for 1 more fiscal year. The 9-member board has no vacancies. They typically meet 6 times per year, and they have not had an issue with quorum in their board meetings over the last 2 fiscal years. This board does the important work of verifying that those in commercial and residential contracting are properly trained and qualified to do the work they do. For those reasons, we recommend extension of the board.
Thank you very much, and very important work indeed, particularly with all of the booming in the commercial areas and in the residential areas in Tennessee. So we appreciate the work that this board does in overseeing that. Are there any questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Monty Fritz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all again for the report. Just a quick question about the makeup of the board. Are there any of the people assigned to the board that we used to call small contractors, or all these large contractors?
Look to Director Burkhart for the answer to that.
Yes, we have a mixture of both large contractors and small contractors that oversee those licensing for those classifications.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Senator Oliver, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is around unlicensed contractors. So I've got several elderly constituents, disabled constituents who tend to get taken advantage of with their home renovations. And how is the board, since this is a board of licensed contractors, regulating unlicensed contractors to make sure that homeowners aren't taken advantage of and their isn't just stolen from them and contractors aren't walking away, not finishing the job? How are you enforcing people who aren't licensed?
So the board is authorized to take action against unlicensed individuals, and we see a lot of news stories about the examples that you've cited and highlighted, the complaint volume and the amount of penalties we've had. To reflect that, this board receives, I think, an unusually high compared to other programs, number of complaints, a lot of unlicensed activity. So the board is authorized statutorily to take action against someone who's unlicensed and does so regularly. However, none of our boards serve the role of courts. We can't seek restitution on behalf of someone who's been taken advantage of. So their best cause of action, if they've paid someone and they're not getting services and they need to get their money back, is likely to sue them or take them to small claims court, depending on the background of that instance. But the board can take action against that unlicensed individual, including assessing a civil penalty against them and or barring them from the ability to obtain a license.
Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I guess the only recourse is on the back end if something happens. Is there any procedures in place for a homeowner to know if a contractor is licensed on the front end before they engage in a contract?
Absolutely. We take every opportunity we can to let people know that verify.tn.gov allows you to search for any of our licensed professionals to confirm that they have a license, that the license is active. In this instance, what classifications that license might have. They may be a licensed contractor, but are they licensed to do residential work, as an example? And this board does a great job with outreach to try to highlight the resources that.
Yes.
One last question, Madam Chair. And what about the penalties for unlicensed contractors? Are they stiff enough for people to be deterred from not being licensed?
So generally, our fees are capped at $2,000 per violation per day.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the questions. Representative, you're well recognized. Hardaway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I get more complaints about contractors, and most of the complaints are my elderly constituents. What's the effort to put the information that you cited, the website or phone number, what does that effort look like to give the public notice that they can check and should check to verify the credentials and the licensing?
So all of our programs, including the Board of Licensing Contractors, I think do a great job of community outreach, media outreach to promote the resources we have. This board also has a consumer tips page on our website that highlights several things that someone should do when they're considering hiring a contractor that I talk about some and Director Burkhart talks about quite a bit. But I always think the two best tips you can give your constituents are that they should use verify.tn.gov to ensure that the person is licensed. And they should also know that state law limits the deposit that should be made on work being done to 30%. I think in the instances where we see fraud with unlicensed contractors, it's often that someone pays 100% of the money and they never see the person again.
This
Representative
is,
Hardaway.
thank you, Madam Chair. This is a suggestion from way back. We worked with MLG and W at one point to include in their mailouts for the bills information about certain city and county agencies, what they do and what help they offer to the consumer. I'd like to see a more aggressive operation where my elderly are getting the information that they need ahead of time and they aren't out of $5, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 of hard-earned money. So I would encourage you to reevaluate what you're doing in terms of your outreach and be more aggressive in getting that information to the community organizations, working with our local governments, working with the faith community, of course, working with the schools, so that we can prevent our elderly from being taken. And I know it's more than the elderly, but they seem to be the target a lot of times. So we can prevent that shyster from taking advantage of them. Now, the other part of this is evidently the civil fines aren't an adequate deterrent, or I wouldn't still be getting so many complaints. Do you make criminal referrals to the DA's office, to the AG's office, rather?
In some instances, yes. It would be dependent on the complaint that we receive.
Representative Hardaway.
All right, I'd like to hear more about that, but I really believe that the most important part of this conversation is being able to get that information to the consumer in advance of them even thinking about or considering getting some work done. So I'd like to follow up with you on that because we're not doing a good job. I've got seniors who are out of thousands of dollars. They can't find the culprit. And it wouldn't matter if you put a fine on them or not, if you can't find them and collect. And it's just a paltry sum compared to what they've been shystered out of. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome. Thank you. Are there any other questions from any committee members? From the public? Do we have a motion?
Motion, Madam.
Senator Hatcher, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I'd like to extend the State Board of Licensing Contractors for 4 years.
Is there a second to that motion? Senator Steele, thank you so much. We will now have a recorded vote in the Senate. Would you please call the roll?
Senator Crow, Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. There are 4 ayes.
We have the roll call vote signifying 4 ayes. It passes in the Senate. We'll take a voice vote in the House. All those in favor of a 4-year extension of the State Board of Licensing Contractors, please say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Yes. So it will move forward with the recommendation of a 4-year extension. Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for the work you do. The next state agency is the Board of Accountancy. Y'all just enjoy your seats so much. Thank you. If the agency representatives will please come forward, which you have, and make sure that your mic is on. State your name and position for the record, and then you may begin your presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Bowling, and I'm off my game today. I failed to mention that for the Board of Licensing Contractors, Board Member Randy Chase was here. We appreciate him being here. And before I forget, for the Board of Accountancy, our chairman for the board, Greg Gilbert, is with us today. We appreciate him being here as well.
Thank you and welcome.
I'm also joined, I'm Reed Witcher, Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Regulatory Boards, joined by Candace Dawkins, our Legislative Director, and Jen Binkley, Executive Director for the Board of Accountancy. The board regulates CPAs and CPA firms. They have approximately 14,000 licensees. In the previous 2 fiscal years, the board received 176 complaints. The board has run in a small deficit for the last 2 fiscal years. However, they have a sufficient reserve to avoid a fee increase for at least 1 more fiscal year. The 11-member board has no vacancies. The board typically meets quarterly. They've had no issues with quorum for the last 2 fiscal years. They play a critical role in ensuring that providing accounting services in the state are proper. Those providing those services are properly educated and trained. Families, businesses, and even governments rely on services of accountants, and for their reasons, we recommend an extension.
Thank you. Is there any comment to be made? Any questions from the committee? Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an observation. Of all of the agencies and boards, you should be able to figure out how to be self-sufficient. You ought to be able to figure those numbers, that equation out. I just couldn't resist that, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I appreciate that observation. Any other questions? Or any public comments? Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we extend State Board of Accountancy for 4 years.
That's a proper motion. Do I have a second? We have a second of the motion from Senator Hatcher, the second from Senator Seal. All in favor? Well, is there any discussion on that motion? So we will now have a roll call vote from the Senate.
Senator Crow, Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal. Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman, there are 4 aye votes.
Thank you very much, and we'll have a voice vote in the House. All those in favor of a 4-year extension for the State Board of Accountancy, say aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The committee will move forward with a 4-year extension. Congratulations, and thank you very much. The next agency on our agenda is the Local Government Planning Advisory Committee. If the agency representative please come forward. Make sure your mic is on. If each of you would please state your name and position for the record, and then proceed with your presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman. Stuart McWhorter. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Economic and Community Development. And I'm going to pass it over to Cameron Snow, who's our Legislative Director.
Thank you.
To kick this off. Of course, we got Brooksy Carlton, Assistant Commissioner of the Department.
Thank you, Chair Lady
Thank
and committee for allowing us to present today. I'm the legislative liaison for the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, and I'll just provide a brief overview, and if anyone has any questions, please let us know. The Local Government Planning Advisory Committee was created in 1972 to exercise the power over regional planning commissions, county growth plan approvals and reviews, and the authorization of existing organizations to serve as joint economic and community development boards. Currently, there are 7 appointed members from local government by the governor on 4-year terms. There are no vacancies at this time. And ECD acts as the recording secretary for the committee to perform admin duties. Under current law, only the state may create or modify a regional planning jurisdiction and planning commission. Also, current law requires that the state have final approval over all county growth plans before they become effective. LGPAC currently fills these roles for the state and serves as the final approval. Today, we are recommending to the committee that it should not be continued due to the department no longer having a division of local planning and therefore lacks both the expertise and the organizational structure to provide necessary oversight in this area. In addition, we believe that the committee's function has become redundant and the department has become a regulatory entity, which was not intended at the creation of LGPAC. By the time items reach LGPAC, they've already been fully vetted and agreed upon by all relevant local parties, making LGPAC's role purely procedural, serving only as the final sign-off. We believe that all functions of LGPAC should be eliminated and housed within an entity that can provide communities with the local planning expertise that is needed. We are committed with working with the General Assembly on next steps and the best path forward for communities across the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any comment? Are there any questions? So the recommendation is that excuse me. I'm sorry, Representative Hardaway, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How are you, Commissioner? Good, good. I'm trying to figure out why we would dissolve the board agency before we had the responsibilities and duties housed somewhere else.
So currently at this time, it's really just become a rubber stamp, if you will. It's already been approved by local municipalities and local county governments. So there's really, we don't really reject anything in LGPAC. We just do the final approval and send it on, and think that this is redundant at the moment and think that it could be better housed with someone with local planning expertise to really give that, that really what the intent of LGPAC was, to provide meaningful feedback, which we can't do at the moment.
Okay, I'm going from your last or next to last statement where you said you were going to work with the General Assembly to place the responsibilities and the duties somewhere else. So that's why I'm trying to figure out what's left over to place and why not get that settled now before we actually do the dissolution.
So currently, like one of the things you mentioned was regional planning commissioners, the appointment of those. So we're working with leadership at the moment to find a solution in law to make sure that's covered. But at the moment, we really don't do much. It's already approved by the locals, and we just give that final approval on the state side. And we don't think that's needed.
All right, Madam Chair, I didn't want to do this, but it looks like I'm going to have to go see the commissioner.
I'm sure he'll be delighted to visit with you.
Thank you.
And just to give you an opportunity to make a recommendation for a 1-year extension, that is procedurally what we have to do in this circumstance. So do I hear any other discussion? Public comment? Representative Renaud, you're recognized.
I was under the understanding that you were asking to sunset your,
Correct.
yeah, so they do not want a one-year extension. Is that correct?
We are at the will of what the committee thinks best.
But what I heard was that you did not need a year, or at least I thought I heard that you were looking to dissolve this committee or council.
Correct, but if the committee deems a 1-year extension, we're willing to work with the committee in any way possible to make sure that everything gets taken care of.
I will have the lawyer speak to that if you would like. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Doug Garrett with the Office of Legal Services. To your point and to Representative Hardaway's point, when we have instances like this where the recommendation is to sunset, but there are attendant circumstances that may require additional action relative to that function, we typically advise the committee to extend, or make a recommendation for extension of 1 year, just to keep, so that we can draft legislation to keep that in play. So it's more, it would be, at this point, and I'm offering this interpretation, it would be more of a placeholder at this point, just to allow the General Assembly to take up legislation, because our office will draft a bill pursuant to the recommendation here.
Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Do I have a motion? Excuse me? Public comment. Now, seeing none, would you have a recommendation?
I have a recommendation, Madam Chair, but before I say that, my recommendation, I agree with the sunset, because I agree at giving this back to the local government to handle, because I've been involved in the local government for 30 years. And all of that is what you do here in the state is just what you said, a rubber stamp. But I am going to ask for a 1-year extension so that if we have to draw up any legislation, we still have that authority to do that.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? A second from Senator Seal and Senator Hardaway, Representative Hardaway. You were doing a second simultaneously. So we'll now call for vote. The roll call vote in the Senate, please.
Senator Crow, Senator Hatcher. Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal. Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman, there are 4 aye votes.
Thank you, and we'll take a voice vote in the House. All those in favor of a 1-year extension for the Local Planning Advisory Committee, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We will move forward with a 1-year extension. Thank you all for being here today. And the next agency on our agenda is the Office of Business Enterprise. And it looks like we have pretty much almost the same people. If each of you would please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Stuart McWhorter, Commissioner of the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Cameron Snow, Legislative Liaison for the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Wisty Pender, Director of the Business Enterprise Resource Office, or Bureau.
Thank you very much. Now, if you all would proceed with giving us information.
Sure thing. Thank you again, Chair Lady and Committee. I'll just give that brief overview. The Business Enterprise Resource Office, or Bureau, was established in 1977 within the department to advocate and provide resources for entrepreneurs, small businesses, and underutilized businesses. This is done through several nationally recognized programs within Bureau to promote access to capital, best practices for businesses, and connecting communities and businesses to the proper resources. In Tennessee today, 99% of all Tennessee firms are small and underutilized businesses, making up 44% of the total workforce. To date, the office works with communities in all 95 counties from programs like Fund Tennessee, which is the $120 million SSBCI funding that provides access to capital for businesses across the state in the form of lending, technical assistance, and investment. TN Smart Start, which is the online resource that provides guidance for businesses starting and growing here in the state. Community Training, which provides communities with the tools and education to better support small businesses and entrepreneurs. And Disaster Recovery, serving as a connector for impacted communities and businesses to ensure assistance from SBA, Tennessee Small Business Development Centers, and other resources. Today, we are asking for an extension of the office to be continued, serving in the best interests of Tennesseans, as well as changes to the office's code to align with the state interests, modernize definitions, and update language if the committee is willing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a busy organization. Are there any questions? Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. Is the mess going on in DC going to impact your ability to deliver the services that you're rendering or should be rendering? Madam Chair, before she answers, you know, when I walk in a room, I think I'm the smartest guy in there. unless Wisty Pender is in there.
Why, thank you for that. No, the SSBCI program, does it stay on? Okay, sorry. The SSBCI program exists outside of the traditional federal budget. So we're making loan investments and providing technical assistance.
That's good to hear. That's all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Oliver, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the report, it's saying that you're recommending that the statute we revise the statute, its language to expand authority to address emerging needs such as access to capital and technology. Found on that, like what are some of the emerging needs that you're seeing from entrepreneurs, and what kind of access to capital do they get?
So in terms of changes, are you referring to kind of updating the definitions that reflect entrepreneurship?
I'm looking on page 3, number 7, in the questions that were provided to the committee. And it states that your office is recommending that we revise language in the statute.
So,
And
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So those revisions are really just to modernize definitions. So currently, I mean, the statute was written in 1977. So there's a lot of exclusionatory language, such as like the definition of veterans is just for the Vietnam War. So we're really expanding that for anyone who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. For things like entrepreneurship, adding in things like language around startups, innovation-based enterprises, and digital businesses. So really just modernizing what that code is.
Thank you. Yes, sir, you're recognized. Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's your relationship with our TCATs and our higher ed institutions?
So as far as Bureau goes itself, I mean, we work with them. A lot of our small business development centers are housed either in a 4-year UT or in a TCAT. I'm sorry, or a community college, not a TCAT. And then when we do any kind of training, like if we go to a community to provide some kind of training, sometimes the TCAT is the host. So on that side of it, it just depends what they're doing. Sometimes they offer small business training or entrepreneurship training. So it varies tremendously across the state, but we don't have a formalized agreement, if that's what you're looking for.
Thank you. Madam Chair, the way that we're moving into an AI economy, and I assume you'll agree with that, entrepreneurial information in terms of how to set yourself up and get started and protect yourself in some instances, I think it's going to be as critical as anything else that our young folks learn in school. So I'd like to see, Commissioner, I'd like to see y'all have a more intimate relationship with our educational institutions. I stated the higher ed, but also with the high schoolers and on down.
Yes, sir. I would agree with that. I think entrepreneurship has changed. Small business, the definition of small businesses have changed. I think the onset of AI and all the technology that's available now to these aspiring entrepreneurs it's a lot for them. I think it's really important that programs like Bureau and other things that we're doing, not only with higher education, but I think it's really important with the technical schools as well, just to be able to provide support and awareness around what's available. I think that's the key. Is just there's a lot going on in our state. I think we need to make sure that we're doing all the things to make them aware of that and connect them to the appropriate resources depending on where they are in that journey. So, many of them are already up and going. They just need more support to grow and find opportunities to enhance their business.
And I'd be interested in how you follow up on that. If you could perhaps get that information to Madam Chair so she can share it with the rest of the members.
Sure. Happy to
Thank
do
you,
so.
Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And along that line, See, are there any other questions? I have a question. Just, I've read several articles, we're talking AI. In actuality, what percentage of business will be actually directly impacted and then tangentially impacted?
By AI?
Yes.
Everybody. I think it's going to be every single business that exists. I think they're probably already doing it now and don't know it. Many. And it's coming on so fast, very rapidly. I think that's the part that I think everybody's just trying to embrace at this moment, and how not only how to use it, but how it impacts their business and their industries.
I thank you very much. And along that same line, do you know if there's any department or any agency in the government, in the state government, that's actually looking at Tennessee as we are now and looking at the businesses and the different strata there within our businesses, and to look and see what we might need to be anticipating or doing
Well, I know that.
preemptively?
Sorry.
No, thank you.
I know that Commissioner Bryson with FNA has put together an artificial intelligence effort and a committee. I believe it's a committee that's been formed to look at. It's from a more, I can't speak for the Commissioner Bryson, but I know it's looking at it from a state's perspective and how AI impacts the state and state agencies. Across all industry, I'm not aware of a statewide approach to what's going on statewide. There may be a private group that's doing some things I'm just not aware of. From our perspective in our department, we're obviously talking to businesses every day and learning more about what they're doing and how they're utilizing AI and how they want to do business in Tennessee, and AI enhancing their ability to do business in our state. But I'm not aware of a formalized group that's focused on it that's within the state's purview. It may be more of a private sector group or a consulting group that might be doing something along those lines.
Would you see the need for this? Well, it seems that we are looking at it with regard to the state agencies or
We are.
whatever. And that's our bailiwick, and maybe we need to stay there and allow the consulting kinds of businesses, or the businesses that are really more in tune with it, to do things that we would still be wondering what the questions should be when they could be giving us the answers.
Perhaps, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. Representative Hardaway?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you hit on something that's very important. But I'm afraid the effort that we're making with the committee that we have that's set up to figure out how to mesh AI with our government services and et cetera. If I'm correct, they meet quarterly. And there's no longer, the fastest thing is no longer the speed of light, it's the speed of AI. I can't figure out how that task force committee, I can't figure out how they can be effective meeting quarterly. By the time you meet quarterly, none of that information is relevant. It ain't gonna make no sense. There's nothing really to talk about. So I don't understand that. Perhaps you can help me with that.
Well, I do know that they have staff that are as part of staffing that committee. They're working day to day on items. So I can't speak on behalf of the committee, but I know that there are people assigned to the work that's happening. So it's not as if they meet once a quarter and all the business is done at that time. There's, I would imagine, many things are happening to lead up to each meeting that they have. We're happy to go back and have conversations with Commissioner Bryson and others to get more details on that. But I understand your point. Yes, sir. It's moving fast. I mean, as we've been sitting here, something's changed with AI.
And Madam Chair, I've got to take that, and thank you for that, and looking for some follow-up on that, because that just bothers the heck out of me. But Madam Chair, every time AI comes up, I have to brag about Granville T. Woods, which is a middle school in Memphis Shelby County Schools, charter school, as a matter of fact. And we've been working with those students and the instructor and the administration led by Dr. Pam Brown on how the students can educate and train themselves using AI. And then what they produce is really going to be commercialized, working with the University of Memphis, the models and the work that they do, which will help educators better position themselves to teach our children. So that's just one instance. Thank you, Madam Chair, for a chance to brag about Granville T. Woods.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if that hadn't been about Granville T. Woods, I would have cut you off. But thank you so much for sharing that. In all seriousness, thank you for sharing that. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see you all today. Just a couple thoughts, certainly, and piggyback on the AI. It's a new frontier, and it is a rapidly moving frontier. I think it offers us an opportunity to refocus. I think it provides for us a risk of reduced engagement. And I think that's something we're going to have to be planning for rather than allowing to happen to us. I think that the human tendency will be to just accept the artificial intelligence rather than to maintain sharp minds. So I think that's going to have to require an investment in our colleges, universities, and our K through 12 schools to ensure that does not happen. You know, we saw some of that, I think, take place with even the substitution of paper books for tablets. And we're learning now that some of that was probably not beneficial for us. So just curious your thoughts on that. And then a final thought, so that we don't have AI happen to us, which is one of my concerns. It's going to happen to us rather than something we're planning and strategizing for, is the requirement for energy. Because as it comes on, much like we talked about our bill last year, we had better get ahead of the energy curve. TVA has proven themselves unreliable to manage and forecast for us. And so we better get engaged in state government to have a seat at that table. Else we're going to find ourselves either in a residential deficit for power or behind everyone else due to cost with producing kilowatts for the AI. So just interested in your thoughts on those things.
Sure. Expert on neither per se, but I'm learning on the job. I'd say on the AI component, yeah, it's frightening actually to see what's going on. I have 5 children, and I worry where AI takes them in the future. You know, not just the next few years. You know, certainly the next few decades, but. And trying to understand the value in AI, I think if it's used appropriately, obviously it's an enhancement, but you got to know how to use it. There's also, there's this open architecture, open AI, and then you have a closed network. I think there's value in both, but I think that on the closed side, you have more control of what machine learning is within that closed environment. And there, I think, is value that's emerging. And I think that's going to end up being maybe more of the debate in the future. Again, I'm no AI expert, but I do believe that if used appropriately and taught appropriately, I think it is a huge value to individuals and businesses. So on the energy, obviously, I agree with you. I believe that we are investing a lot of time and energy, and no pun, and dollars in our infrastructure. I think we've done a good job as a state attracting businesses. We just made another great announcement yesterday for a company that chose Tennessee. They were going to go to another state, and they chose Tennessee because of, I think ultimately in the day, they just felt like they were welcome here. And we, I believe, are doing all the things that we need to do to not only make the appropriate investments for generation of power, but also, applying that same principle across the transformation of the power and energy across the state, with TVA as our partner. I do think that there's been some good things happening with TVA over the last 60, 90 days in terms of how they are looking at partnering with others to generate and transmit power. I don't know if this time last year those conversations, or at least maybe the conversations were happening, but I don't know if they were being applied the way they are today. So I am encouraged there. But if we're not competitive as a state from a power generation and transmission perspective, we will suffer as a state from an economic development perspective, from at least from the opportunity that I have to serve as commissioner. That's the way I see it. And I think it's in time, a sense of urgency.
Just one follow-up.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Our residential rates are already going up because of the demand. And I love lots of our TVA folks that the downside and the reason we did the Energy Policy Council restructure was to make sure that we had subject matter experts that were non-paid that could advise this body and the governor's office on how we invest in the future to stay ahead of that. I think it's critical that we take another look at that this year and make sure that we've got those reports going to the right place. And maybe that's your office, not the comptroller's office.
Sure.
And so hope you'll give that some consideration.
Sure. Thank you.
Any further questions? Any further comments the committee wants to make? Do I have any public comments? Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we extend the Office of Business Enterprise for 4 years.
That is a proper motion. Is there a second? We have the second from Senator Seal. And the Senate will take a vote.
Senator Crow, Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman, you have 4 aye votes.
We have 4 ayes for the extension of the Office of Business Enterprise for 4 years. Do I have a motion in the, excuse me, we just need to go for the voice vote now. Okay, in the House, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. And the Office of Business Enterprise will be extended for 4 years, and we thank you very much for your presentation. Yes, ma'am. Did you want to say something? Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I brought a couple of our new postcards for Lynn to TN, and I'll leave them with the Sergeant at Arms, so you all can get one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You did. And she's the smartest woman in the room, as well as the smartest man. I'm not sure what you said. Smartest person in the room. And the last agency is the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission. The agency representatives are seated. And please make sure your mic is on. State your name and position and proceed.
Yes, good afternoon. Stuart McWhorter, Commissioner of the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Good afternoon again. Cameron Snow, Legislative Liaison with the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development.
And if you have a presentation, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee, again, for allowing us to present in front of you today. The commission was established in 2024 by the Tennessee General Assembly to advance economic relations, promote cultural and educational exchanges, and take joint action on policy issues that are in agreement with the state of Tennessee and the Republic of Ireland. The department is attached to the committee to assist administratively as needed to provide professional services using existing resources. The commission consists of 11 members, 4 of which are statutory and 7 of which are through appointments. Currently, the commission has 2 vacancies that are in process of being filled, and the commission has not met to date. And I just want to note, after speaking with several members of the commission, we wish that it be continued to allow for more time for the commission to meet and take action.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions regarding the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission? Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What prompted the development of the Tennessee Ireland Commission?
I'm going to let Braden Stover, the Chief Policy Officer for ECD.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, committee.
Yes.
Would not be a great day if I did not get to sneak in before the end of the committee. The commission was created last, not this past session, but the session before that. It was kind of one of the last things that came out of session. I think it was something that Chairman Powers was very interested in. And so that was what prompted the creation of the committee. And we have a foreign direct investment representative that represents that area of the world. And so I think it made sense for him to have us kind of support with existing resources, having that infrastructure already in place.
So we have a field office in Ireland?
We have a representative, not sure I would call it a field office, but someone who represents the state abroad in the United Kingdom. Yep.
Okay, that probably needs a little bit more explanation, but I'm going to move on to the next one unless the commissioner.
Well, I'll just say we have 5 foreign direct investment staff members that live and locate in other countries. One of our team members is in the UK. And so he has the ability, even though that he lives in the UK, he has the ability to go to Ireland and represent Tennessee with Irish based businesses, if that makes sense. So just like we would have somebody in Tokyo, we have an individual in Tokyo who's been there for a long time, and same job description. Her job description is to interact with businesses in Japan when we do the things we do from a foreign direct investment perspective.
All right, Madam Chair, and I'm sure we're doing good things with Ireland, but we have over 1.5 billion people on the continent of Africa. When Senator Haggerty was Commissioner Haggerty, we had discussions about setting up a relationship in whatever country that would be responsible for the continent. The things that they're doing now, I'm not even sure if you can say developing countries with quite a few of them because they're so advanced. And the fact that they sit on, as you know, some of the rare earth minerals and the standard silver and gold and oil, they've become critical players on the global stage. And China and Russia are eating our lunch. So I would encourage you to pick up from where Commissioner Haggerty had kind of left off. And let's talk about setting up a working relationship with some representatives in Africa, and I can help you if you need my assistance.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hardaway. Any other discussion? If we could have a motion, public comments? A motion, please.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we extend the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission for 2 years.
That is a proper motion, the extension of the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission for 2 years. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Seal. And we will have a vote, roll call vote in the Senate, please.
Senator Crowe, Senator Hatcher.
Aye.
Votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Oliver. Votes aye. Senator Seal.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman Bowling.
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairwoman, you have 4 ayes.
Thank you. We do have a majority vote in the Senate, and now we will have a voice vote in the House. All those in favor of a 2-year extension for the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign? No. The ayes have it. So we will move forward with a 2-year extension of the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission. And thank you very much for your time and for your participation in this meeting. This concludes the committee business. Actions by this joint subcommittee are submitted to the Government Operations Committees for deliberation and final decision prior to being placed on calendar during the legislative session. Notice of future meetings will be posted in advance of scheduled meeting dates. We will be back for Education, Health, and General Welfare in House Hearing Room 1 tomorrow. Without objection, we are adjourned.